AEW was back at Arena Mexico for Grand Slam 2026. Hot crowd tonight. Hot crowd. One of the most famous wrestling venues anywhere in the world. And when they had their first show last year, it was a fun atmosphere. Hot crowd. It was the same thing here tonight. 8 matches. Now, when they put the graphic up on social media showing the list of all the different matches, I thought to myself, until I read that Collision is live this Saturday, I was thinking, surely some of these matches are being taped for Collision this weekend. No, all of the matches were scheduled for Dynamite tonight. Now, it was supposed to be a 2.5-hour show. 8 matches over 2.5 hours. They didn't fit it in 2.5 hours. I don't even know why they advertised it as 2.5 hours. They may as well have just called it a 3-hour show. That's what it was. The show went just shy of 3 hours here tonight. There's a lot of wrestling. Basically, this was a pay-per-view without the commercials, right? You think of a pay-per-view without the commercials? Well, put the commercials in there. But it's a pay-per-view. No backstage segments, just matches. Match. Some commercials thrown in there. That's what this was. So if you are a wrestling-heavy person who just wants, tons of in-ring action, this was a dream show for you. There were no backstage promos. There was none of that stuff. Even the promos that we did have on this show were very, very limited. It was limited to like Andrade after his match, grabbing the microphone. And that was about it. This was all about the in-ring here. I don't know how many people they had there, but everybody was into pretty much, I would say most everything on the show. If anything had the least amount of heat, I would say that it was the women's match. And when I say the women's match, there was a singles match. There were 2 women's matches, but there was a singles match later in the show with Kris Statlander and Persephone. And even that, it's not that, not that the people didn't care about it, but I would say out of everything collectively, maybe that was the match that got the least reaction of anything on the show. But otherwise, look, it was a fun night of wrestling. I saw it for what it was. If you saw the first Grand Slam show, you kind of had a sense of what this was going to be. It's a special occasion. They only come to this building once a year. And this is one of the benefits of this partnership with CMLL, is that they're able to, run Arena Mexico. Nobody else is going to be doing that. So it makes for a fun show. I would say light on story. Not that there wasn't any story, but I wouldn't say there were any major developments outside of one very important thing that happened on the show tonight, and that was the return of MJF for the first time since Beach Break. When he lost the AEW World Championship, MJF was back on the show. Thank God. He's been missed. So he showed up and he put a beating on Andrade, because Andrade has been running around with his property. He's had the Dynamite Diamond ring now for several weeks. He's been smiling about it and laughing about it. He's been brandishing this ring. And so tonight he paid a bit of a price for it. So very happy to see him back. He's going to be back in action on the show next week. Andrade qualified to be the #1 entrant in the Casino Gauntlet match at Wembley. And so next week, MJF will have his opportunity to qualify as #2. So we can get MJF and Andrade at the beginning of the Battle Royal. Well, not Battle Royal, at the beginning of the Gauntlet match. It fills up, kind of looks like a Battle Royal. So anyway, he's also carrying around the Triple B. He's got his championship, and he says, I'm the only champion that matters. So the only thing missing was him spray painting an X on the belt like CM Punk did when he came back after Brawl Out, and he was the real world's champion. That's about the only thing that was missing from this. So that to me was the biggest thing to take place on the show. We also had Will Ospreay and Mark Davis in the main event. Now, the last time we had Will Ospreay and Mark Davis in the main event of Dynamite, I want to say was the beginning of June, and it was part of the Owen Hart tournament, and that was a hell of a match. And really, every time these guys get in the ring, they have a hell of a match. Tonight was no different. They had a hell of a main event that really pissed me off as we got closer to the end of it, and we'll get into why. And then, of course, it was a Mexico City street fight, so there was blood and barbed wire and all kinds of bullshit, which, you kind of had to expect. But that's what closed the show. And they seem to be really trying to emphasize Ospreay's mean streak, and maybe this is all part of, the Death Riders training that he got, where he's, he can hang with the most hardcore of them. And so no Kenny Omega on the show, but they had Ospreay and they wanted him to get a big win in the main event. And so that's how they went off the air. Beyond that, though, we have new trios champions. Now, you may be saying, well, wait a minute now. We had new trios champions last week. What do you mean we have new trios champions? Yes, we have new trios champions again because Ricochet and The Demand, transitional champions. Get the belts off one set of baby faces, put them on a different set of baby faces. It was never about Ricochet or The Demand. And let's be honest, okay? The trios titles don't mean anything anyway. So they put them on Hangman Page and Bandido tonight, and I'm fine with that. I'd rather have them on them than Ricochet and The Demand. That's fine with me. I think Bandido is great. Hangman Page can't compete for the world championship anymore. No problem. We'll just feed another belt to him. Didn't take very long. He's already got more gold. And the women's tag team championship match is now official for Wembley. I think we all knew that this was going to be the case, but we got a graphic for it tonight. It will be the Brawling Birds challenging Divine Dominion for the tag team titles. That is coming up in London on August 30th. The rest of this show, it was just all action. We got some championship matches. We got a bunch of trios matches, and we're going to go through all of it here. But that's really, I would say, the big developments coming out of the show. And if you're a fan of Mistico's entrance and you like to sing Mi Muero, you have the chance to do that tonight too. They enjoy doing that at Arena Mexico. I will not be singing though. You don't want me to be singing. Trust me. It's not pretty. This is your AEW Grand Slam Mexico review here for 2026. I am the Solomonster. Thank you guys for hanging out with me here on a Wednesday night. I have a feeling we may be zipping through this fairly quickly, but thank you for being with me. Like and subscribe. Super chats are open. I know some have already come in, so I will be reading your messages. I also just wanted to throw this up on the screen real quick. The sound off. I'm used to seeing the sound off on the Apple charts for wrestling podcasts here in the U.S. We even hit number 1. Top cornet for one of our episodes a few weeks ago, usually number 1, number 2. This is the first time I've noticed the Uncrowned Wrestling Show cracking the top 10. Came in at number 9 on the charts. The latest episode that went up yesterday, which is very cool. It's very cool to have 2 shows at any given moment in the top 10. So I wanted to thank all of you for that. The support for Uncrowned, which is still relatively new. Again, I only started doing it for Ariel and for Uncrowned and Yahoo back in February, but the support has been really just blown me away. So I just wanted to thank you guys for that support. You're awesome. But you already knew that. Let's put up the wheel. See how many likes we need. If we do be the Booker tonight, I have a feeling we're gonna need a low number. Let's hope it's not too big. Let's hope it's not too big. $475. Well, yeah, I don't know. It might be tough. But that's the number. That's the target for tonight. Now, at the beginning of this show, we had Adam Copeland coming out. Now, Adam Copeland has talked recently about how this was sort of on his wrestling bucket list. He wanted to perform at Arena Mexico. He's also got the Tokyo Dome on his list. We'll see if he makes that happen. But he got to compete here, perform at Arena Mexico for the first time. And the fans rewarded him because they were very happy to see him at the beginning of this show. And they were singing his song. They sang it through. Even when they cut the music off, they were singing the song. And you could see the big smile on his face. He could not stop smiling. He could not hide how happy he was. He was trying to take it all in. At the stage of his career that he's at right now, there aren't very many things left that he hasn't already done. Right? It's a very short list. And so the fact that he was able to kind of check this off his list is pretty cool. Christian, of course, comes out and very stoic. Maybe he's geeking out on the inside. I don't know. Do wrestlers geek out once they get to like 50? Are they still marking out? I don't know. Maybe. But he's got the stone face, so he doesn't sell it. But it was Adam Copeland, Christian Cage, and the Young Bucks, who, of course, are going to be adversaries at All in London. But for tonight, they were tag team partners. Can they coexist? To take on the Death Riders, Jon Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, Pac, and Daniel Garcia. So again, Cope came out to a huge ovation, and then Christian, and then the Bucks also got a very good ovation. So the Death Riders were basically taken care of, and they left Moxley. This is late in the match. I'm not going to go through the whole chapter and verse here, because again, it was mostly just matches on the show tonight, and you're not interested in hearing about Cazadora arm drag into a 2 count. That's fucking boring. Nobody wants to hear that. But Moxley was basically outnumbered here at one point, 4-on-1. Copeland hit an impaler DDT on Moxley, and the crowd wanted the spear. Marina Shafir got up on the apron, and Christian pulled her down to the floor. She slapped him. And so in response to this, he kicked her in. Oh, I was going to say kick her in the, well, he kicked her low. Now, you would think that this wouldn't have much of an effect, but she went down in a heap.
I am the Lord.
Shut the fuck up. Fuck that tree. Hey, Kris, thank you. Tomas says, Christian kicked Marina in the clam. Yes. Yes, he did. And she went down. So back in the ring, Copeland, he leveled Mox with a spear. Referee was distracted by Yuta, though, so he only got the visual pin. And so Copeland, he gave up on that pin. Pac then ran Copeland into the ropes. He tried to clothesline him. Cope ducked it, but he collided with Matt Jackson on the apron. He knocked him off the apron. And Moxley then rolled up Copeland and pinned him while holding the tights. So the Death Riders pick up the win. Wasn't expecting Copeland to take the losing fall here. I mean, not that he's hurt by it. I mean, pretty much, bulletproof at this point. But he eats the pin, loses the match for his team. When the match was over, Copeland shakes hands with the Bucks. Everything seems to be okay. Christian, though, he doesn't shake anybody's hand. He just walks off. So I kind of like what they did here, because it would have been, to have like a push and a shove after the match, right, would have been kind of obvious. And instead it was like, hey, my bad, made a mistake. But then Christian walks off, right? You got 4 weeks. You got to find ways to keep it interesting. You can't just have them at each other's throats right now, because where do you go from there, right? So you tease out the tension a little bit. Again, we got no promos on this show. So maybe you could save something in ring with them. We had a sit down that was pre-taped last week. Maybe next week we can get them in the ring, live, and we can move on to whatever that next phase of this feud is going to be. But for tonight, he knocked him off the apron, but everything seems okay. Everything isn't always as it seems, though. The match itself, nothing to really sing home about. It was fine. I was more happy for Copeland because he looked so happy to be there. Then we had the All-In Casino Gauntlet match. Number 1 spot on the line. Andrade El Idolo, Tommaso Ciampa, and Komander. The winner will enter the Gauntlet at Wembley in the number 1 spot, which is very important because the Gauntlet could end at any moment. That's how these Gauntlet matches work. If you are number 1, you have, well, really, if you're number 2 also. It's like the Rumble, right? You don't want to be number 1 in the Royal Rumble, but number 2 kind of gets fucked over the same way also. The earlier you're in the Gauntlet, the better your chances of winning are going to be. So you want that number 1 spot. Komander. Now, he has a habit of doing this in every match of his, but I don't know. The one tonight looked just better than all the rest. He did the rope walk, springboard, dive out to the floor. And it was weird because he did the rope walk, he jumps up in the air, and it's like the hang time that he gets. It's like he's hanging in the air for an extra 2 or 3 seconds before he finally lands. And everybody goes crazy when he drops both opponents. After that, it was Andrade's turn. He headed up top. He hit a tornado splash onto Komander out on the floor. And then he took a moment to pose for a selfie with his sexy Latina friend. Eventually, the pants came off. That's always when the night gets really fun, when the pants come off. Ciampa, Tommaso Ciampa. Okay, so we saw the match with Jericho at Redemption. And you saw what he did to the stuffed animal. Well, here on this show, he beat up another inanimate object. And what he beat up this time were Andrade's pants. So he kicked the shit out of Andrade's pants. Then he gave it a Project Ciampa, and then he demanded that the referee count, which the referee did not do. Obviously, this man is a few fries short of a Happy Meal. For the finish, Andrade took out Ciampa, and then he fell, though, to a poison Rana from Komander. Komander walked the ropes. He hit a springboard moonsault onto Ciampa, but Andrade pulled him into the DM, dropped him. Of course, that's his finish. And he got the pin, so Andrade will be entering the Gauntlet in the number 1 spot at All In. Fun match. Yeah, I mean, look. A lot of action when you have 3 guys in the ring and you have Tommaso Ciampa who is beating up someone's pants. It's a little weird, but it was fun. Andrade, when the match was over, took the microphone. This might have been the only real promo we got tonight. And he said, even though he's the national champion, he wants more. And he promised to win the Gauntlet and the world title for all of Mexico. And as soon as he said this, out comes MJF. Well, we hear his music. We don't see him. But we hear MJF's music, and Andrade is looking at the stage. Of course, they have that long staircase on the stage. MJF, though, sneaks in from behind. He sneaks into the ring from out of the crowd. He blasts him with the Triple B. He still has his belt. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. When Kenny Omega, after Beach Break, had his championship celebration on Dynamite, and the Young Bucks were in the ring, the balloons and everything, did he not have the Triple B, and the Bucks took it away from him and gave him the old school AEW World Title belt? How did he get the Triple B back? Maybe he has more than one. I could have sworn that the Bucks were in possession of it last time we saw it. So MJF went over. He ripped the diamond ring, his diamond ring, off of Andrade's finger. He punched him in the head with it. Andrade came up bleeding, and then after taking him out to the ramp to beat him up some more, MJF tossed him off the ramp, and he took this big bump onto the floor down below, right onto the giant CMLL emblem on the ground, and there was like a little pool of blood on the CMLL logo. And then right next to him, laying on the ground, is Komander, just laying there. So MJF takes the microphone. He tells them, get this piece of trash out of this piece of shit country. Then he demanded that they cheer him for being an American hero. He claimed that he's our champion. He said that at Beach Break, Kenny Omega was about to go down until Will Ospreay got involved. He called Omega's title a toy belt. And he screamed that the All-In main event was his. Said he always gets what he wants. And next week on Dynamite, show's going to be in Las Vegas. There's going to be another qualifying match. This one to decide the number 2 spot in the Gauntlet match. A match that he is going to win, and he is going to go to the Gauntlet. He's going to once again dog walk Andrade, and he's going to win the contract again, right? Which he's done before. So that's the vow that he made. MJF said the only championship that should be recognized is the Triple B, and he should be the only champion recognized in this company. He said that he didn't care whether Omega or Ospreay wins it all in, because whether we like it or not, he is the one true champion. It's his new gimmick. He is the one true champion. And then he left through the crowd, and the security followed him, and the security did not look all that thrilled about him going into the crowd, because these people wanted to murder this man. And he started, going back and forth with one of the people in the crowd, and security is just trying to rush him out of there. And so off he goes. It's great to have him back on the show. He's been gone for about a month. And again, he was missed. I figure when he came back, a match of some sort with Andrade in London is what made the most sense. He's not being added to the championship match. Not being added to the championship match whether he wins the Gauntlet or not. Remember, the new rule is that if you win the gauntlet and you get a contract for a title match, you have to give at least 1 week notice, which I like. We don't need money in the bank rules. So no matter what, he's not part of that main event. What else would he be doing? Logically, the man who stole his ring, his jewelry, his property, has been running around now for weeks. Gee, I wonder if he's going to go after it when he comes back. I mean, this seemed pretty clearly the direction for him on that show. I just wasn't sure if they were going to do a singles match, or in this case, I guess they're going to both be in the gauntlet match, which is fine. We'll get an interaction between them, and then they could run a singles match at All Out. You don't have to do it at All In. You do the match one-on-one at All Out. We had Willow, Nightingale, and the Brawling Birds, Alex Windsor and Jamie Hayter, teaming up to take on Mercedes Moné and Divine Dominion, Megan Bayne and Lena Cross. Match came down to Willow and Mercedes going at it. Willow was looking for a Dr. Bomb. Tag team champions, though, put a stop to that. And the Birds, they hit stereo German suplexes. Moné was looking for a statement maker. Willow, though, countered with a backslide, and she pinned Mercedes. Not the first time that she's pinned Mercedes either. She pinned Mercedes the last time and she became the TBS champion. So she pins the challenger at All In, which does give me pause as far as what I was thinking is going to happen at Wembley. But I would caution anybody who says, "Oh, are you feeling any differently about your predictions, Solomonster?" Not necessarily. It's August 5th. Okay, All In is August 30th. There's a lot of time left between now and then. A lot can happen, right? Mercedes will get one over on her. Not that I'm making a final prediction now anyway. But don't assume this automatically means that Mercedes is definitely winning the title. I don't think she's definitely doing anything. And then after the match was over, the graphic went up and they made it official. Megan Bayne and Lena Cross will be defending their tag team titles against Jamie Hayter and Alex Windsor. And that should, guaranteed that should be a title change on that show. The only reason they've even kept the belts on the other two for this long is because they wanted to get to London to do this match. They've run through everybody else, every other women's tag team you could think of. They've run through them. There's nobody else. There's nobody else. It has to be the Brawling Birds. If you're going to do it, you do it in London. We had the International Championship on the line. We had Kyle Fletcher defending his title against Speedball Mike Bailey, who won that ladder match a few weeks ago last weekend at Redemption to earn the right to challenge. He opted for Arena Mexico. So we got the match. Oh, man. I'm losing my voice. I am losing my voice. We can't lose our voice. We have to talk about this match. We have to talk about this match. Hey, Arc Prince. Enough. Yes, I agree. That's what I was saying by the time we got to the 8th match tonight. I was pulling a Cody. I was saying, enough. I've had enough of my wrestling fill for the night. How many matches can you squeeze into 3 hours? Yeah, I know. I can't lose my voice. We have HOG on Friday. That would be very bad. This would not be a good week to lose my voice. Anyway, Kyle Fletcher, Speedball Mike Bailey. Bailey wore a mask. He wore a blue mask, lucha mask, to the ring. Fletcher came out with Don Callis. He was holding a mask. And Renee was talking from the side of the stage. And she noted that Fletcher and Bailey, they come into this match here tonight tied up at 1 win apiece. So it's anyone's ball game. They did a spot early in this match. Hey, shout out Jake. What's going on, Jake? They did a lawn dart spot where I thought he murdered Bailey. He lawn darted Mike Bailey into the barricade. These barricades have no give. So the way he sold it was great. I mean, it looked like he was just absolutely just destroyed. They cut to shots of fans in the crowd, like 2 or 3 different women in the crowd, and they had like their hands over their mouth. They were like, "Oh my God!" Like they were so concerned for Mike Bailey. They thought they might have just seen a murder here on this show. They ended up brawling to the ramp and the stage over by, I mentioned, the staircase. That's where all the wrestlers were coming down for their entrance. So they brawled over by the staircase. Fletcher tried to suplex Bailey on the steps. Bailey countered into a head scissors. He takes Fletcher down. He scurries up like a part of the staircase, and then from the step that he's on, he moonsaults off the staircase and onto Fletcher. Later in the match, Fletcher had Bailey on the ropes. He went for a brainbuster. Bailey countered out with a super Rana. And then Bailey went back up. He hit the ultimo weapon. He landed knees first right down on top of Fletcher. He got a great near fall out of this. They panned out. So when he covered, like the production team knew what they were doing here because he covers him. And everyone, it's like at a fever pitch, right? And everyone's losing their minds. And at least it sounded like they bought into the possibility this could be the finish. They zoomed out a little bit. Like you would if you were going to like get the 3 count. You wanted to show everybody like jumping up, right? They get to like 2.9 and he kicks out. And everybody, up to that point, everybody was losing their mind. They wanted a title change and then they didn't get it. But that was a great near fall. So Bailey went for a kick. Fletcher caught him though. He lawn darted him again, this time into the middle turnbuckle. Then he put Bailey up on the top rope, hit the top rope, brain buster, dropped him straight down on his head. And thankfully that was the finish. And he covered him and he got the pin to retain the International Championship. Now look, I knew that Bailey was not winning this. They have a story, right? They have a clear direction and story for London involving Fletcher, Okada, and Takeshita. They're not going to deviate from that. It doesn't make any sense for them to. But the near fall that they got there, the crowd at least bid on it. That was, to me, that was the big moment of the match there. That Ultima Weapon spot was very well done. The way they set that up was very well done. Because it's hard in a match like this where it's like predictable. Can you get the crowd to buy into it? Can you get them to believe? Oh, they believed. At least on that near fall, they believed. Hey, good morning, Cheza. Thanks for joining us. It is morning where Cheza is. And King Solo, thank you. But this was great. This is a great match. Great heat. And the match, it barely ended before they played Okada's music. And he walks out, he's in his robe, and because his match is coming up next. So he kind of interrupted Fletcher's celebration here. And the two of them stared each other down as they passed each other on the ramp when Okada was making his way to the ring. And that did lead into our next match, because as I said at the beginning of this review, match. When one match was over, it led right into the other, just like a pay-per-view. And so the next match was Okada, Kevin Knight, and Hechicero, the CMLL world champion here. He's at home, taking on Mistico, Chris Jericho, and Darby Allin. Mistico obviously got the megastar reaction coming out. This being Arena Mexico at all. They owe a lot of those sellouts to him. They have set records over the last year and a half. I mean, they have knocked down record after record after record in terms of consecutive sellouts at Arena Mexico. And a lot of it is on the back of Mistico. You could tell just watching his entrance here. And the fans are all singing to his theme song. Okada at ringside, he's covering his ears. He has this disgusted look on his face. Then we hear Judas. And out comes Chris Jericho, billed as Corazon de Leon, going back to his Lionheart days. He was even dressed up as the Lionheart. He had the old Lionheart gear on. So Jericho hit a crossbody block to Okada on the floor. This is late in the match. At the same time, we got a coffin drop from Darby Allin to Kevin Knight. Mistico, he wiped out Hechicero on the floor. Back inside, Darby was getting ready for another coffin drop to Kevin Knight. Knight, though, dropped him in the corner. And Darby's hanging upside down. I think he was hanging up. Was he hanging upside down? I think he was upside down. I don't remember now if he was upside down or if he was just crouched. I think he was upside down. But anyway, Kevin Knight was going for a coast-to-coast. That's the point. Which is the same move that, again, he concussed Darby with the first time he did that to him in their Continental Classic match last year. So he's about to do the coast-to-coast, and as he propels himself, Jericho is there, and he intercepts with a Judas effect tonight on the way down. Jericho then caught Okada's drop kick. He put him in the walls. Mistico took down Hechicero with La Mistica. So we have stereo submissions at the same time that Darby Allin quickly scampers up to the top rope. He delivers a coffin drop to the TNT champion, and he pins the TNT champion to win it for his team. Now, I am a big believer when you pin the champion, if you want to beat the champion and it's a non-title scenario, you beat the champion, you get the title shot. Now it's just a matter of when and where. Do they do it on Dynamite? Are they saving it, because we've already seen it. We saw it on Dynamite actually before Redemption. Do they do this as the one-on-one TNT title match at Wembley, or are they planning something else? And they're going to do it on TV before then. Because we still have, like I said, we still have a good 4 weeks or whatever it is until we get there. But Darby Allin pinned Kevin Knight on this show. He has to get a title shot now. You pin the champion, you get a shot. That's the way it should work. But otherwise, this was fun. Yeah, you had some big names in there. You had Jericho and Okada, and Mistico obviously was the biggest name, being where they were. And I was happy to not see Hechicero take the fall, just because there were people who were... There was somebody in the chat. Who was it? Raise your hand. Who was surprised? I think it was number one Homo Sapien, who was like, I'm surprised that Hechicero didn't take the losing fall here. I'm like, he's the CMLL world champion, and they're at Arena Mexico. You would want to be beating the CMLL world champion. I think that would be a terrible idea. Let Kevin Knight take the fall. Speaking of world champions in CMLL, we had the CMLL women's world champion. We had Persephone. Non-title match, going one-on-one with Kris Statlander. Statlander was booed. She was getting boos because, of course, they were at Arena Mexico. They weren't going to boo Persephone over her. They also showed Thunder Rosa, who is the reigning CMLL women's national champion, sitting in the front row. Persephone went over there early in the match to talk that shit. She and Rosa don't like each other. So Statlander went up top for a 450 late in the match. Persephone moved out of the way. Statlander took a really awkward landing, like on her knees. And she's had ACL tears in both knees, so I winced when I saw that. Persephone left the ring, though. She went to go steal Thunder Rosa's belt. She went to go steal her national title. Rosa jumped the barricade. Persephone then just blasted her right in the head with the belt. Statlander then dove off the apron onto both of them, but also took out the referee by accident in the process. So the ref is down now. She threw Persephone back in the ring. She got a visual pin, but there's no ref. But guess who's there? Hikaru Shida, the former TBS champion. She rolls into the ring and she blasts Statlander in the head with Rosa's belt. Persephone was more than happy to take advantage of the assist. She hit a springboard frog splash. She covered. There's still no referee. Finally, here comes a referee, and the referee counts 3, and Persephone picks up the win. Thank God, Persephone picks up the win. She's another one who should not be losing on this show. I thought the match itself, it was okay. I thought the finish was fucking terrible. And I know it served a purpose, but it can serve a purpose and still be terrible. It's a terrible, lame finish to an otherwise okay match. I think Persephone is great. I mean, Statlander is too, but Persephone is great. We need to see more of her. I'd like to see more of her on Dynamite week to week. I would have put the TBS title on her, and I think I said that when they were heading into that Survival of the Fittest match. Ultimately, I went with Queen Aminata, but I said Persephone, and if not Persephone, then go with Aminata. They went with Shida, which I think was a terrible decision. And it clearly was a terrible decision because they put the belt on her, and then they took it away from her a few weeks later, which rendered the whole thing pointless. I would have loved to have seen her get a TBS title run. Maybe she still will. at some point. Maybe they don't want her to be the CMLL women's champion when they do put that title on her, if they do at some point. Hopefully that happens. I'm wondering if they're setting up a 4-way, though. Are we looking at a 4-way match maybe for Allin? All 4 of these women involved? I mean, that was kind of the vibe I was getting at the end of this. We had the AEW Trios Championship on the line. The Demand, Ricochet, Bishop Khan, and Toa Leona defending against Hangman Adam Page, Brody King, and Bandido. They are a new trios team. Earlier this year, it was Hangman, Speedball, and Kevin Knight. So now he has new partners because Hangman is never again to challenge for the AEW World title. So if he wants to be a champion in this company, he's going to have to find another title to compete for. This is the one that he chose. They came out to the ring to a full band, like a mariachi band, playing them out to the ring, and they were all like in all full mariachi gear, sombreros and everything, on their way to the ring. So then, I don't know how many minutes we were. It was very early in the match. They had cleared the ring of the Demand, and now they go to dance the Macarena, which I can't believe is still a thing here in 2026. But they start dancing the Macarena. Thankfully, the Demand put a stop to that. The big spot, though, in this match came towards the finish. And we've seen him do variations of this before. I don't know that we've seen him stack this many people on his shoulders at once. Toa Leona, he stacked Brody, Bandido, and Hangman on his shoulders. And he started to walk with them. And then he dropped them with a Samoan drop. Now, is it wrong, or am I the only one? When I see him do this spot, the first thing I think of is Rick Boogs. I can't help it. I think of Boogs in that match with the Usos. It was Boogs and Nakamura at WrestleMania. It had to be 38. And he stacked the Usos on his shoulders, and then his knee just buckled. It was a terrible injury. So every time I see something like this, and he's tried this before, and you could see he's like, you know, he pulls it off, but like he's struggling, and I'm like, oh, I'm always so worried about, like, you know, getting a repeat of that. I get flashbacks of that awful moment. It was impressive, though. It was very impressive. Now, in the end, Bandido tried for a 21 plex on Toa Leona. But Leona was holding onto the ropes. Hangman was on the apron. He kicked him in the head. And so he let go. Page then assisted Bandido, in finishing the move with a buckshot lariat into the 21 plex. And that got them the 3 count. That got them the trios titles. It was funny because, you know, Bryce Remsburg, he dropped down to count the fall. I don't know why he hesitated. He held up the initial count. So then he proceeded to count. And I think when he hit 2, everybody thought it was 3, but it wasn't 3. Then he hit 3, but everybody thought it was 4, but it was actually 3. That was the finish. And so Hangman and Bandido, they are the new trios champions. The Demand's run has come to an end at a solid 7 days. Thanks for coming, Ricochet. They got them the belts last week to transition them from one crop of baby faces to another. That was it. That was it. That was the sole purpose of them winning those titles last week. We want to get them off the conglomeration, put them on some heels, so that these guys can go into Arena Mexico and beat them and take the titles away. And the crowd was very happy to see a title change, I'm sure. But beyond them just being happy that a title changed hands, these titles, they don't mean anything. These titles have no real meaning. You know, I mean, is it really all that big of a deal when we hear about there being a trios title change at this point? How many times have the trios titles changed this year? 3 times? 4 times? Better question is, who cares? Hangman's got a belt, though. Can't challenge for the world title, but he's a champion again. Now, they said, coming into this show, they said that Grand Slam was a 2.5-hour program. It was listed for 8 to 10:30 p.m. I will have you know, the main event only first went to the ring, and it was already 10:30. So it was pretty clear that this was not only was it not going 2.5 hours, it was very likely going 3. It was Will Ospreay against Mark Davis in a Mexico City street fight with no outside interference. They made it very clear in the graphic to let us know that there would be no outside interference from the Callis family in this match. And my question was, or what? What are you going to do if the Callis family runs out there? It's no disqualification. It's a fucking street fight. If they want to send their guys out there, they can send their guys out there. Who's going to stop them? It's kind of stupid. Just call it a Mexico City street fight and just leave it at that. I mean, I know I saw Davis's promo last week where he said, he's willing to leave the Callis family behind. But I was just thinking about it. Like, what if they interfere anyway? Like, call the match off? What are you going to do? Ospreay, he rolled out a tire early in the match. Yes, a tire. I don't know where he got it from. Giant tire. And he's rolling it out. He's trying to use it as a weapon. It didn't work. Went to go hit Davis with it. Davis, though, saw it coming because how could he not? It's a fucking tire. Be kind of hard not to see it. Then a few minutes later, Davis, he powerbombed Ospreay into the crowd and into a supposed fan. He took out the fan. The fan went down. I don't mean like a fucking, hey, it's hot in here, cool me down fan. I mean an actual human being. And this person, he took a bump and he went down to the ground. So after one final commercial break, we come back and these two are on the ramp. And they're over by the staircase. They're fighting. Davis hit him with... Now, tell me if I'm wrong. It looked to me like maybe a piece of drywall. Is that what it was supposed to be? I don't know. He hit him with something. And Ospreay gets knocked down the stairs. And he's taking all these bumps down the staircase. He's rolling down the stairs. Until finally he lands on the ramp. They go back to the ring. Actually, he got hurled back into the ring by Davis. They go back to the ring. Now we've got chairs. One of the chairs is wrapped in barbed wire. I guess like Raquel's new Intercontinental title on Monday night. Wrapped in barbed wire. Davis then ran his face into a chair that was wedged in between the ropes. And that busted Ospreay open. Davis then sat Ospreay down on one of the chairs. And he took a fork. Took a fork to the forehead. Now Ospreay's really bleeding. And then Ospreay, he turned the tables. He forked him. Now Davis was bleeding, so we got double juice here in this match. Mark Davis, he hits a running Genzo bomb to Will Ospreay. Drops him right on his, like basically a running pile driver, and drops him right on his head through two chairs. And Ospreay kicks out at 2. Ridiculous. Oh, but we weren't done yet. Later on, Davis tried to pile drive Ospreay on the apron. Ospreay grabbed Davis by the dick, and he squeezed. Now, to my knowledge, Will Ospreay doesn't have his medical degree. I know, sometimes you go to the doctor and they, they grab you and they're like, hey, cough, right? I guess that's a thing. But in this case, I don't think that's what he was trying to do. But he grabbed this man by his junk and he squeezed, and Davis had a look on his face like his eyes were about to bug out of his head. And so Ospreay ended up spiking Davis on the apron instead with a pile driver. Now, Davis is outside. He's laid out on the floor. He's bleeding. The referee's outside. The referee's actually standing right next to him outside. And the referee is administering a count. He counts to 8. He gets to 9. Now, they do this thing in wrestling. Everybody does it. Where they wait until the referee hits 9. And then they quickly get up to their feet and they dive back into the ring. And that's what I was expecting Davis to do. Referee counts 9. And Davis still isn't moving. And I think the referee said something to him. Referee had to hold up his count to allow Davis time to at least start moving so he could be like, oh, okay, he's moving. It's okay. The count is broken. So I don't know if he just forgot. I don't know if he was legitimately knocked loopy, but he missed the count and the referee at least was able to give him a little bit of extra time to recover. So he broke the 10 count, but he really didn't. It was more like 11, maybe 12. He did make it back into the ring. And when he got back into the ring, he was able to take control of the match again. And he spiked Ospreay with an awful waffle. And this just pissed me the fuck off. Because this is his move, right? It's an awful waffle. Picks him up in like almost like a pump handle position and then just fucking drops him on his head. Actually, in the 2K video games, the WWE 2K games, when I what was the last one I played? 2K24, 2K25, whichever one it was, and I created my own guy. In the game, it's the Omega Driver. I remember this because I made that my finishing because it's a great fucking move. I look at that move and I'm like, that's a finishing move. Except in this company, it's not a finishing move. Because for all the punishment that was doled out to Will Ospreay here, now remember the fucking Gonzo bomb through the chairs before that I mentioned. Among all the other bumps he took. Gave him a fucking awful waffle. And this motherfucker kicked out. What is with all of the pile driver kickouts in this company? It's disgusting. They spam the pile drivers over and over and over again. And like the pile driver that he hits, like it looks devastating. Like that should be a move that is protected. And he just kicks out like it's nothing. There's nothing you could do to beat this man. Like there are moments in matches, and this was one of them for me, where when I see that, it's like he uses a cheat code in a video game for invincibility. There's nothing you could do to this man. There's literally nothing you could do. You could shoot him with a gun. He'll kick out. That spot, it pissed me off. It really did. It got under my fucking skin. Oh, did that fucking piss me off. Davis went for the barbed wire. Ospreay caught him with a Styles Clash. And then Davis kicked out. Why not? Ospreay rained down some hard forearm strikes. He looked like Ilya Dragunov here, delivering H-bombs over and over again. Then he wrapped the barbed wire around Davis's neck. He delivered one final hidden blade. And he put Davis down for good. This, I guess, is where his Super Mario star wore off, because now the match is over. Now that the match is over, the star effect could wear off. Again, he's got the invincibility cheat. I was enjoying the match up to a point, then it just got ridiculous there towards the end. They still had a great match. I mean, there were parts of it I didn't care for. Again, it was your typical AEW like street fight type match where both guys have to bleed and they have to use forks and barbed wire and all that, nonsense. That didn't even really upset me. It was just one too many pile drivers that were just disregarded as completely meaningless. And then we knew Ospreay was going to win. That's not the issue here. But man, I just wish that they would, with certain people, and Davis is one of those people, because, I mean, look, this guy, he started getting a singles push. I wasn't expecting him to be in the position he's in. I'm happy for him. He had that national title run, and I enjoy his matches. And it's a devastating looking move, and to just throw it out there and just disregard, and it's not like it was the only one in this match, but like late in the match, all the abuse that he's taken, it takes me out of it, man. It takes me out of the story. I can suspend my disbelief, but only to a point. And they have no, like in this company, there's no line. You know what I mean? Like there's no self-control. They just go overboard every single time with it. And it just gets to a point. You want to get lost in the match and believe that, okay, this is a real battle here. And you just get to a point where, okay, that's one too many. There's no way he can get out of that. And then it's just kick out, kick out, kick out, kick out, kick out, kick out. Okay, well then what is it going to take to beat this guy? What can you possibly do to put this man down? Apparently nothing, because he lost. And Ospreay won, because Ospreay is the one going to Wembley to challenge for the World Championship, so he should be winning. And that was how they went off the air. There was no Kenny Omega on this show. I was very surprised that Kenny did not make an appearance at Arena Mexico. This was a very straightforward show. As I said at the beginning, very, very wrestling heavy. which is, in a way kind of nice. We're coming off a weekend with SummerSlam, if you watch both products, where we had a premium live event that did not put a premium on actual, in-ring. And there were a lot of matches that were shortchanged. And that was very frustrating. So then you get a show like this in front of a hot-ass crowd. And Arena Mexico is a fun venue, even visually. It just looks really good on TV. And you got plenty of wrestling on this show. Did we get too much? Probably. Yeah, I don't know that we needed 3 hours and 8 matches and just going boom, 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 boom like that. But that's why I said it felt like a pay-per-view, because that's typically how it is on the AEW pay-per-views. You'll have 8, 9, 10 matches. It's one right after the other. You'll get the occasional video package. You don't get anything in the way of like pre or post-match interviews, and it's all action. Because he wants to keep the action flowing, and so that's what this show was. We had a lot of really good wrestling, some fun moments. And now next week, it's back to normal, I guess. I think they're at the Palms. They said they're at the Palms in Vegas. That's where House of Glory had the Vegas show, was at the Palms. It's a nice venue. There are actually a bunch of independent shows there over WrestleMania weekend. So that is where Dynamite is going to be next week. MJF will be in his qualifying match. And I don't know, did they announce anything else for the show next week? Well, if they did, I didn't write it down. What I did write down, and what I do want to go through real quick here, starting this weekend on Collision, they're kicking off the Continental Cup. We're getting a cup. The winner of the Continental Cup will not only win a giant cup, a trophy, but also will be the Continental Champion at All In. And it's almost like we have the winter Continental Classic, and this is like for the summer. This might be the annual thing for the summer. I think it's silly. I said, and I talked about this on TNT last night, they have such a wealth, like a gold mine of tag teams right now. And probably another team or two coming in soon. I would rather see them do something akin to like the tag league that you see in New Japan. Have a tag team tournament. What do we need another continental tournament for? We have a great one at the end of the year. It's a little bit different because that's a round robin. This is not. But I would much rather see them do something like a tag league because they got plenty of teams to choose from. And they could bring in an outside team from a CMLL or a New Japan. So unfortunately, they went with this idea instead. Now, the rules are no outside interference is allowed, which is typical for all continental title matches. But there will be no time limits, and that is different from continental matches. 8 winners from the first round will then have their next match decided via blind draw. So there will be no brackets. It will be completely, quote-unquote, random. These are the 16 men in the tournament. Obviously, the reigning Continental Champion, Jon Moxley, will be in there. Nigel McGuinness, Switchblade Jay White, David Finlay, Brian Cage, Kyle O'Reilly, Katsuyori Shibata, Matt Sydal. Where'd that come from? Matt Sydal, he's got to be Ring of Honor, right? I assume Ring of Honor. Certainly not on Dynamite. But Matt Sydal is in there. Hechicero, Roderick Strong, Jack Perry, Claudio is in there. Orange Cassidy, Ace Austin, Jake Doyle, and the Mad King. Eddie Kingston will be in there. He'll be wrestling Jake Doyle this Saturday in the opening round. Other first round matches include Orange Cassidy against Matt Sydal. Claudio will wrestle Ace Austin. Jay White will wrestle David Finlay. So there's that singles match that I figure we were going to be getting maybe in London. We're going to be getting it as part of this tournament in the next few weeks. Jack Perry against Jon Moxley. Roderick Strong against Kyle O'Reilly. Brian Cage against Hechicero. And Shibata against Nigel. I'm looking at this. I know there's people probably saying, oh, Moxley and Kingston at the end of this. To me, been there, done that. Eddie Kingston has had 2 appearances, I believe, all year. None since March on Dynamite. He's been relegated pretty much to Ring of Honor for the most part. So, look, I know it's Eddie Kingston. People know who he is and they love Eddie. So it wouldn't be a hard sell if they wanted to go in that direction. But to me, I don't think that's what they're, planning for here. I'm looking at these names. I'm looking at Jon Moxley and Jay White. Let Jay White go over on David Finlay. Let him go to the finals of this thing. And you do Mox and you do White. And to me, it only makes sense because, the Bang Bang Gang has had some issues recently with the Death Riders. Right? The Death Riders and the Dogs. So to do Moxley and Jay White, to me, that would feel more like an all-in match than, honestly, almost anything else they could put together here from this list of names. So hopefully that's what we end up with. Let's take a look at your super chats here. There we go. We'll go through these and we'll get you guys out of here. 424 likes, by the way. I think the goal was 475 for Be the Booker. So hit that thumbs up. We'll see if we get there. Death Scythe starting us out. Says, since Worlds Collide is about AAA and WWE crossing over, what do you think of Cody and El Grande? It's a big match, and if WWE wants to take the attention away from All Out, that match would do it. I mean, Cody and El Grande doesn't really do much for me. Roman and El Grande, that would be interesting. We may get that on Raw in Mexico City on the 14th. If we don't, to me, Roman and Penta is probably the play there. But we may get actually Roman and El Grande before Worlds Collide. GMB says Bianca and Tez's son did 30 pull-ups out of the womb. Oh, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. Sprints, push-ups, bench press. None of it would surprise me. Congrats to the happy couple, by the way. Bianca did just have her baby. If you are only hearing about this now, a bouncing baby boy. Mark Kwan, 1976, says, hey, Solo, heading to AEW here in Vegas next Wednesday. First live show since WWE in Abu Dhabi in 2017. Was a contractor over there. Interesting. Yeah, you'll have fun. Again, Vegas, I think they're running the same venue where we had MLP, House of Glory. I forgot what. Oh, it might have been CMLL ran a show there right before ours. Yeah, it had to be because I remember when I got there, when I got to the Palms and I was backstage before the show. Who's the little mascot guy from CMLL? I always forget his name. He was there tonight, by the way. He came out. I think he came out with Mistico and Jericho and Darby, I think. Or maybe not. I'm sorry. He came out with Hangman and Bandido. But yeah, he came walking by. It was the weirdest thing. Like, I'm walking in and he's coming towards me. He's kind of, I guess, whatever he had done on the show, he had just finished. And he was Kimonito. There, thank you, yes. Kimonito came walking right towards me. Kimonito is the blue one. Kimalito is the red one. I think it was the blue one. Death Sight says Brock Lesnar announced his retirement yesterday and Jessica Rabbit is crawling out of my TV and soothing my tired bones to help me sleep better. That's a fine movie choice. I'll be seeing Coyote versus Acme later this month when it comes out, and looking at the trailer, it's very Who Framed Roger Rabbit-esque. You know, that mix of live action and animation. Maybe Brock's trying to have more retirements than Terry Funk, says Death Scythe. No, I think he's done for now. He's done for now. Fried Chicken says, after World Cup happened in North America, AEW should look at the Estadio Azteca Stadium in Mexico City. Potential AEW CMLL New Japan Forbidden Door. Well, how big of a stadium is that? You say stadium, that sounds big. That might be a little too big. Deathside says, once Ospreay wins the AEW World title, I think Darby Allin and Kazuchika Okada should be his challengers because Darby has a win over him and Okada beat him at least 7 times in New Japan and once in AEW. Yeah, and don't forget Jon Moxley. So as soon as Ospreay wins that championship, he's already got 3 people at least lined up. You got to throw Moxley's got to be the number 1 before you get to those guys. Also, since WrestleMania 40, Cody has had great matches with AJ Styles, Logan Paul, Kevin Owens, Gunther, Orton, Cena, Drew, Sammy, and Gunther, and a decent match with Punk. But he hasn't had an interesting feud since KO. No, he hasn't. That's a problem. EJ Slamp, John Campion made a great video today on the Paramount WBD trial date. I don't think the merger happens, and that helps AEW. What are your thoughts? Look, I said this when I talked about this on the podcast 2 weeks ago, before the trial date was set today. I said it feels to me like this thing is not going to happen. Financially, it doesn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense to me before. It makes even less sense to me now. Is it a good thing for AEW? I don't think Tony Khan thinks it's a good thing for AEW. I think he wants this deal to happen. The way he talks about it publicly, I don't think he wants this deal to fall apart. I think he thinks he has a good relationship with David Ellison. And if it goes to anybody else, if it goes to Netflix, Netflix has the direct relationship with WWE. I mean, I think he believes that this is a better deal for AEW than that deal would be. So I don't know that it is a good thing. All that being said, the deal should fall apart. This deal should not be happening. So hopefully it won't. Enough of this consolidation. Thank you, EJ. Let me refresh this list here. See if we have anybody else. Somebody asked what the goal was. 475. 475. We have Bryant. Bryant Finley. I think you're wrong about Mercedes not winning it all in. She's winning that belt and getting the Willow chip off her back. Maybe. I'm not ready to say for sure that that's what's going to happen. We got Love the Lord with the $10 super chat. Beach Break and Grand Slam Mexico, 2 of my favorite AEW live shows of 2026. Like the MJF Real World Champion reference from Punk. Psyched for All in London. Top 3 AEW TV shows of all time. I don't know, man. There have been some great ones over the years. If you want to go back over the last 7 years, the one I keep coming back to, and it's a sad one. I mean, probably the best piece of television they produced, honestly, was the Brody Lee tribute show after he passed away. I wouldn't call that a favorite show that I would love to go back and watch again, but it was very, very well done. I could tell you what my favorite ending or finishes to an episode of Dynamite. Still, I think it would be the one where Mariah May turned on Toni Storm and violently beat her bloody. I don't think they've had a better ending than that since. Chris Ludek with the 12. Do you think Tony needs to take a step back from creative and trust guys like Bryan Danielson and Christopher Daniels to write TV for him, and maybe they would have a better product? I think he thinks the product is just fine. I think that he should welcome input from those people. I assume he probably already does. I mean, he loves Bryan Danielson. I'd be shocked if he wasn't getting input from him. Daniel, I don't know how much influence Daniels would have creatively. I think he's more of a kind of a liaison, talent relations type person. But no, I mean, he's not stepping back from anything. This is his baby. He thinks everything is great and he wants to control it, and why would he do that? What was the better summer in wrestling? 97 with the Hart Foundation and the peak of the original NWO, or 98 with Goldberg's run and Austin versus McMahon? Those were two great summers, though, dude. Yeah, I enjoyed them both, honestly. But you make me choose. Summer of 98. Both great, though. Retro KOH and Kayfabe number 2 is better than number 1 in the Rumble because number 2 knows who they're up against. Number 1 doesn't. They know who they're up against, dude, for like 10 seconds. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Unless they do some gimmick where number 1 is chosen in advance of the Rumble date. Like they have a match on TV, you lose, you're number 1 now. But if we're talking about like the day of or the night of, no, there's literally no advantage. They're exactly the same. Medium Ugly Lad with a $15 super chat. Willow dropping the belt to Moné would be a major bummer, to be honest. Happy Wednesday, Solo and chat. Happy Wednesday to you as well. It would be a bummer. She just won it. She just won it. But then again, so did Sheeta. And then she lost her belt a few weeks later, although I'm happy she did. Willow, I would not be happy if they took it from her this quickly. Boots, I was like Okada during Mistico's entrance. In my opinion, the song is a crime against music. There are far better Spanish pop ballads. Yes, but that is his. And the crowd there loves it, so that's all that matters. I mean, it's not a favorite of mine either. I don't really get it, but they fucking love it. They'd be insane to change it. Why would you do that? Lakers Pats, Roman versus Pimpinella Escarlata. See, now that's a match I'd like to see. There you go. Put Pimpinella in this tournament that they're going to be doing. Diego was at the show tonight. There was a dark match after the show between Roderick Orange, Mascara Dorada, Briante Jr., Jeff Jarrett versus the Dogs, Nick Wayne, Lethal Twist. Also, what do you think Federico Fellini? I don't know what you're asking me there. That's a hell of a match. So it's basically, let's see here, 2 members of the conglomeration, Mascara Dorada, Briante Jr., and Jeff Jarrett. Where the hell did that come from? I wasn't expecting you to include his name in that. So they got you guys got Jeff Jarrett on the show, but not Kenny Omega. Well, Diego, I will say I'm a little jealous of you being there because on television it sounded loud as all hell. Those are the best crowds. And Devin from NJ says, buy or sell. Which was worse, Cody giving up his title shot to The Rock or Oba giving up his title shot for Brock Lesnar? Cody even thinking about giving his shot up for The Rock. For the main event of WrestleMania? Yeah. Yeah, I would say that's far worse. Thankfully, that ended up not happening. With Oba, unfortunately, it did end up happening. And Deathside says, I know some gimmicks have shelf lives, but which gimmicks are timeless and also which gimmicks from the golden era could work in wrestling today? It's not golden era, but I actually think Waylon Mercy could work today. I mean, you saw clearly Bray Wyatt was inspired by Waylon Mercy and borrowed from Waylon Mercy. That was more of a new generation gimmick, though. In terms of golden era gimmicks, Brutus Beefcake, he was over even though the talent really wasn't there. He was super over during that era. I think you can make that gimmick work today. Doink. Evil Doink. Evil Doink, for sure. Evil Doink is probably at the top of my list, honestly. But as far as shelf lives, yeah, I mean, look, there are lots of gimmicks that have shelf lives, especially the more ridiculous and over the top they are. But even something like Tony D'Angelo, who I'm happy for him that he's having success right now, right? The NXT championship and all that. But when he was doing the mob boss gimmick, I said, like, I hope to God for his sake that if he ever gets called up to the main roster, he's not being called up with this gimmick, because this gimmick will kill him dead. It has a shelf life. He did it for a while. It got himself established. And now, granted, you know, I don't know what his gimmick is supposed to be now. I think he's just being himself. So I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work out for him, but that's an example of a current gimmick that had a very short shelf life, in my opinion. We did it. Did we hit the goal? Did we hit the likes goal? I believe I'm being told. We are. We are, in fact, over the goal. 475 was the goal. We just passed it. So look at that. A little buzzer beater there. Boy, you guys. Uh-oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second now. We have Chi-Town Smark. We have Jesse, who I believe is live on the air. He is sending in a message here. He's sending an SOS. I'm currently live with JD trying to stay awake because AEW went 2.5 hours, but not really 2.5. No, they went 3 hours. They went 3 hours. You know, I said it was like a pay-per-view tonight, which is kind of a lie, because if it was like a pay-per-view, the show would still be on the air right now. The main event would be ending right now if it was really an AEW pay-per-view. Man, Jesse, I feel for you. I feel for you, Jesse. Hang in there, buddy. You hang in there, and I'm going to do some Be the Booker right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to Be the Booker.
You may need to add Jesse to Be the Booker. Hopefully I'll see Jesse the next time that we are in Chicago for House of Glory on September 25th. We got New York this Friday. We have Los Angeles on September 4th, and then we have Chicago on September 25th, which is going to be a very busy wrestling weekend because WWE is in Chicago the very next night, as is AEW. See, we got them beat, though. We got them beat. We're coming in the night before. All right, here we go. Tag team is going to be Kane and Mankind. We have Kane and Mankind kicking things off, the former tag team champions. A little trivia note for you. The tag team titles that you see them holding in this image, like they won those tag team titles July 13th, 1998. And I know this because I was at that show. That was my very first Raw that I was able to attend live, and they won the titles from the New Age Outlaws. So they went backstage as soon as they won them, and they took a bunch of photos. Kane and Mankind going to be defending those tag team titles here against, oh gee, look who it is. The Headbangers. Moving on, we have Women's Be the Booker. Maybe we'll have some better luck with this match. One can only hope. Charlotte Flair. Some people thought this would be the image they would see coming out of SummerSlam this weekend. Those people were wrong. Those people were incorrect. However, she is booked here. So let's find out who Charlotte is going to be wrestling. Charlotte Flair against Io Sky. I like it. It gets my stamp of approval. There you go. There's the stamp. That's the noise I make whenever I stamp something. I don't know why I did that. All right. We went 0 for 1. Now we're 1 for 1. We need a winning percentage. The Mets won tonight. I don't know how they did it, but they did. So I have faith in myself. I have faith in my ability here to book a main event for you that you can be proud of. Christian Cage says your father is dead. Spin again. How did you know? How you know? How does he know these things? All right, well, spin again. MJF with the belt over his shoulder that he had with him tonight. I'm telling you, man, Be the Booker knows. It just knows. It knew that MJF was back tonight with the Triple B. And it popped up on screen. And now we have one final drum roll. MJF against Murder Grandpa. We never did get that match, did we? Because I know they had him in for a bunch of matches. But we never got MJF and Minoru Suzuki, did we? Well, we're getting it tonight. We're getting it tonight. MJF and Minoru Suzuki. 2 out of 3. Not bad. Not bad. Not perfect, but not bad. Hey, Manny Smith, welcome to the channel. Manny Smith just saw his first Be the Booker. He's like, what the hell have I walked into here? What is this? And Arabian Night with a $4.99. Who do you see facing the Trios champions at All In? Hey, Arabian Night, I have a better question for you. Who cares? Who the hell cares about the Trios tie? I can't bring myself to care about the Trios belts. I really can't. Now, as far as I do care about Bandido and Hangman. So from the perspective of who will they be wrestling on that show, regardless of whether they have the Trios belts, can I ask a question? What happened to the Hurt Syndicate? What happened to the Hurt Syndicate? Where did they go? Did someone get hurt again? Where the fuck did they go? See, they only have 2 members, though. Otherwise, I would say maybe the Hurt Syndicate against Bandido and Hangman, but you need a third man. Who's the third man? Who's the third man? Oh, wait, hold on. His super chat wasn't done. He said, I think maybe Hurt Syndicate, or here's an idea, Swerve returns, confronts Hangman with backup, The New Day. See, now that's an interesting idea. I like the way you think. That would be an interesting way to introduce them to the company. Swerve and The New Day. I wouldn't hate that. I like that idea. Death Scythe says, I know 3 gimmicks from the golden era that could definitely work in wrestling today. Randy Savage. Now, see, Randy Savage was not a gimmick. Randy Savage was the real deal. What you saw is what you got. That ain't no gimmick. Randy Savage, Ted DiBiase, and Jake Roberts. DiBiase, yes, but he would have to tone down some of the more over-the-top elements. Like when he walked into the jewelry shop to pick up his championship wearing a cape. Maybe ditch the cape. But like the idea of someone who's got a lot of money calling out fans to do menial, embarrassing, degrading tasks for money. Like when he kicked the basketball away from that young child. Oh, that could absolutely get over today. You know what the problem is, though? In today's wrestling world, it would make him a babyface. People would be so entertained by it, they would probably cheer for him instead of booing him and thinking that he was this evil bastard. You would probably end up getting him over as a babyface because, you know, these days, up is down, down is up, left is right. Nothing makes any sense. Super Pony, if KO versus Punk is a one-off on SmackDown, first of all, I hope they're not that stupid. Second of all, who does Punk move on to if it is? I just think that they probably have a parade of different people. That, you know, Punk name dropped a whole bunch of people like Trick Williams and Damian Priest, and there were one or two other people. And I think that maybe him having a couple of title defenses, a couple of other one-off defenses until they could settle on who that next big feud is going to be with. Maybe it's Randy Orton. You know, maybe it's back to Cody, but I can't imagine they go back to Cody. I mean, they're going to go back to Cody again, probably in him until WrestleMania next year. Could be Gunther. Can't leave Gunther out of that conversation. Sami Zayn. Buy or sell Sesame Street or the Muppets? For me, it was Sesame Street. Although I was, as a kid, a fan of the Muppet Babies. Still remember the song too. But got to go Sesame Street. Oscar, Grover, Elmo. Well, fuck Elmo. Bert and Ernie, Snuffleupagus.
I have one pair of skinny jeans, and I'm going to wear them every week just to piss you off.
Big Dave Batista. The Count. Gritty. Deathside says, you forgot to mention Jake the Snake Roberts. In what? Well, look, you put a giant snake in a bag and have somebody bring it down to the ring with them. First of all, you would never be able to get away with that today. The way that he used to manhandle those snakes, can you imagine the hell that would be brought down upon this company if they allowed that? We don't have anybody. By the way, you mentioned Jake and you mentioned Savage. We don't have anybody like that anymore in wrestling. It's sad. These really do feel like once in a lifetime type personalities and characters in wrestling that we will simply never have again. Dave Batista was on the show. Yeah. Oh, sure. You must have missed that episode. The Batista episode of Sesame Street. Is that still on HBO now? I can't believe it. I can't believe they moved Sesame Street to HBO. They moved it behind a paywall. They moved it to a subscription service. It's such a sin. It's terrible.
The Fresh Maker.
Oh, look at James coming in the clutch with a Mentos $30 super chat drop because we know you love it, Solo. Puts a smile on my face every time. I love it. Thank you, James. Where is it? I'm gonna put a little heart next to that super chat there. Ah, yes, indeed. So, little business to transact here. So you guys know I will not be here live for the post show on Friday. There will be no SmackDown post show. Whatever my thoughts are on SmackDown, possibly the first face-to-face we get between Punk and KO since KO came back. I will be talking about that on the Sound Off on Sunday. The reason I won't be here is because I will be live on YouTube on a different channel, on the House of Glory YouTube channel, First time ever that we are broadcasting our full event live and free on YouTube. It is high intensity at the NYC Arena. So I don't know when the page is going to go up. I'm not in control of that, but probably that afternoon. Keep an eye out for it. It's our first live stream on the YouTube channel. Hopefully all goes well, internet-wise and everything. Hopefully we'll see a bunch of you guys in the live chat. The show starts at 7 Eastern.
Look at Richie Rich over here dropping
Oh
all
my
this
God.
money on me. Hey, I just want you to know,
Oh, boy.
I think you rock.
Man,
I don't mean the rock, a rock, you rock.
we got a bomb.
And I just wanted you to know that.
Oh, we got a bomb. Oh, my God, we got a bomb. It just went kaboom. James Crawford, we love you, Solo, IWC, Tribal Chief. Holy shit.
Holy shit.
That is James Crawford. My goodness. James. Even Nails is impressed by James.
Thank you, James, for the super chats. I'm gonna take that money, and I'm gonna buy a hammer, and I'm gonna beat you, boss man. I'm coming for you, boss man, for what you did to me, boss man.
Nails says thank you. Nails is going to take out his aggression on the big boss man for wrongfully imprisoning him all those years ago. He was wrongly convicted of a crime he did not commit. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, Friday. Completely forgot what I was even talking about. So hopefully you guys will check it out, especially if you've never had the chance before to check out a House of Glory show. This is a great one to check out. We got a lot of names on this show. Eddie Kingston, who will actually be on Collision on Saturday, is going to be on the show. And Leo Rush will be there. Ricky Sosa will be there. The Hardys. You got a nice mix. You really do. TNA, AEW, HOG. Shotzi and Shayna. And I mean, just up and down the card, man. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. Brian says, I wanted to see Nails and The Undertaker fight. I know they had a face-off at the TV tapings back then. They were teasing a feud, and then it just never happened because Nails tried to murder Vince McMahon. Literally jumped him and put his hands around his throat and tried to strangle him, and had to be pulled off. Otherwise, I think he was supposed to feud with The Undertaker. So for Undertaker, boy, bullet dodged. Poor Undertaker, by the way. Like back then. He had a feud with Giant Gonzalez and Mabel. He was going to feud with Nails. He was feuding. Who else? Who else did they put with him? Well, him and Yoko were friends, and they actually ended up having a really, I thought, a pretty fun feud, actually. But he worked with so many stiffs back then. Will never not blow my mind. Like that whole first half of his career and some of the matches he had and the people they had him working with. And it wasn't until like another 10 or 12 years that he was able to go out there and have like real wrestling matches with people and show what he could do. It's kind of like Shawn Michaels in a way, where it's like the tale of two careers. I remember thinking Taker versus Papa Shango would be fire. Papa Shango would shoot fire, probably, at The Undertaker's face. He had that medicine stick, and that was his gimmick for a while, where he would be wrestling the jobbers on the syndicated shows, and pyro would shoot out of the medicine stick in their face. The lights would go out, lights would come back on, their shoelaces, their boots were on fire. Black goo would be dripping, from their head. If you're a kid, if you're a younger fan, that shit's traumatizing. You know, it really is. I'm not saying it was for me. I'm just saying, like, they would cut to shots of little kids in the crowd and then they in tears. It's a very traumatizing thing for a young child to see. And I noticed, I just spied that thanks to our pal Super Pony, we have actually just hit the bonus goal. This guy was as I was answering these questions, this man was working hard here behind the scenes. He dropped 3 straight super chats and got us to 10 out of 10. Look at this guy. Boots says, will HOG show have super chats? I mean, they probably will be open. I mean, they're not going to be read on the show if that's what you're asking. But I believe that capability is open. Yeah, I mean, it should be. The channel has almost 90,000 subs, so probably, yes. They should be open. They should be open. All right, well, we got one more round. I wasn't planning on doing this, but this is exciting here because now we get another bite at the apple. You know, before, let me switch over here.
Ladies and gentlemen.
No. You're not hearing that. You're not hearing Noah again. I wanted a sweep. We didn't get one. So now we're going to try again. This time we have stipulations. This is always how it works when we have a second round. We have a stipulations round. Our first stipulation is going to be a barbed wire steel cage match. So we're going to have a tag team match contested inside a cage surrounded by barbed wire. We had barbed wire on the show tonight in our main event. Yeah. Yes. I'll be answering super chats. We'll be doing Be the Booker all while I'm doing commentary on the House of Glory show. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. We have the Hardys, Matt and Jeff. They'll be wrestling on Friday. They'll be at the NYC Arena defending the HOG tag team titles, but I'm a little concerned now because we have them booked for Friday, but now we're putting them in a barbed wire steel cage match, which sounds very dangerous. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. The Hardys against Ric Flair and Rowdy Roddy Piper. That's an interesting clash of generations. Hardys being the generation that came immediately after. You know, the Hardys were actually doing matches on like Superstars and Wrestling Challenge and Monday Night Raw when they legally probably should not have even been allowed to be in the ring. I think they were like 15, 16 years old. All right. Women's match. We need a stipulation now for our women's match. A fight pit women's match. Now, I know they just had one, I think, right? They had a NXT Underground match with Lola Vice and Kendall Gray. But I don't think they have ever had a women's fight pit. So this is going to be very unique. In the fight pit, we have Tiffany Stratton. Maybe she could get some training for a fight pit match. I don't know that Tiffany Stratton is the person that I would be putting in the fight pit. Maybe she can get SGT Slaughter to help train her. Put her through boot camp. Good old SGT Slaughter. Anybody? Bueller? Tiffany Stratton against Stephanie Vicaire. Oh my. I'm going with Stephanie in this match. She's my pick. Main event. The main event of this epic extravaganza is going to be a buried alive match. Okay. I'm kind of a mark for buried alive matches myself. I don't know why. I like them. I'm kind of sad we don't get them anymore. JD is going crazy over what? What happened? All right, here we go. Buried alive. Are you fucking kidding me? He's back again. He was in our first main event. Now he's back for a buried alive match. It is Minoru Suzuki. I can't believe we landed on him in the same night twice for the main event. I mean, any match against Minoru Suzuki ends up as a buried alive match for his adversary. It's kind of redundant, don't you think? You can't kill murder grandpa. That's right. Minoru Suzuki, Be the Booker, has been repossessed. Oh, man. But you know what, guys? We're being transported because since it was a bonus round, I can't deprive you of your main event. Now, if it was the regular round, that would be one thing. But in the bonus round, we keep this thing going here. I can't do that to you. I've got to give the people a main event. I've got to give you what you want. You work so hard to attain that goal. I'm going to give you a main event. I'm going to give you Minoru Suzuki against, I don't even know what to call him anymore. He'll always be Mike Santana to me, and that's what we're going to call him. Always will be Mike Santana to me. Kind of low key. I think that would be actually be a hell of a brawl. Mike Santana and Minoru Suzuki, buried alive match. Hit each other with shovels. Damn you, Darso. If Repo Man had popped up in that first match, you would have lost that main event. But since this was the bonus goal, I can't do that to you. There you go. Booker of the Year, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget, Booker of the Year right here. Fuck all the rest. Arabian Knight says, glad you like my Swerve and New Day idea. Well, let's see what happens. I think it's actually a very realistic possibility. Because they're free agents now. And it's inevitable that they're going to end up in AEW because the Young Bucks are going to just be dying to work with them. Why wouldn't Tony want to bring them in? Especially for a tag team division that is as stacked right now as theirs is. They at least put a premium on tag team wrestling in this company, unlike WWE. So this may end up being a blessing in disguise for these two. This may be what actually helps revive their careers because in WWE, they were just on a path to nowhere. But it makes sense because it's a company that doesn't prioritize tag team wrestling. Tag team wrestling is effectively dead in WWE. In AEW at the moment, they have a very strong tag team division and a bunch of teams that they've never worked with before. So I think this is going to breathe, assuming they end up there, I think this is going to breathe new life into the New Day or whatever they call themselves, and it's going to be the best thing that could have happened to them. I mean, let's be honest here. Like, do you think Tony Khan is going to pay them peanuts? Like, they're still going to make a great living, probably work less dates, and they have just a smorgasbord of new teams to work with. And they could do other shit too, because now they want to do indie shots, if they want to do other projects, right? I mean, WWE is a lot more restrictive when it comes to that stuff. I think that's going to be a great fit for them. I really do. Super Pony, Sammy costing KO against Punk is boring. Give me a long-term feud between them and give KO the belt. I'm all in favor of giving KO the belt. Absolutely, I would be totally fine with that. I don't know that that's what they're going to do, though, but I feel like they're going to want that belt on Punk long term. I don't see them taking it off him this year. But if you're going to feud the two of them and it's going to be more than just a one-off, you can't keep running Kevin Owens back in that spot and just keep beating him. He's had so many chances to win that championship. He's fallen short every single time. You can't do that. Like, how many times are we going to see him go in there and fail? The tag team championship in WWE is as meaningless as the trios championship in AEW, basically. Pretty much. Only it's worse in WWE because they have two sets of tag team titles. Woods keeps calling out Kenny Omega on fan videos. Yeah, I mean, the two of them are friends. They probably sit up and play fucking Call of Duty together. They're probably playing games every night. Sure, they would love to do stuff together. All right, this was fun. We had some great wrestling tonight. Again, not a whole lot else, but we got MJF back, and that's a great thing. And he will be in action on next week's show. We'll have a normal schedule next week. Again, I just won't be here on Friday. This weekend will be a brand new sound off. Next week, I'm pretty sure all the normal shows, nothing out of the ordinary. Thank you again for all of the love for the sound off this week. And Uncrowned. Very cool to see Uncrowned crack the top 10 for the first time. We're taking over, baby. We gotta find a way to dominate the charts. I love to see it. Be well, stay safe, have yourselves a great rest of your night, and I will see you back here. I guess I won't see you back here on YouTube until next week, but hopefully I will see some of you in the live chat for House of Glory Friday night starting at 7 Eastern. I'll see you guys there. Take care.